this part of the mindset stuff is the bit that I have to say, made the biggest change to my life. When I realised, actually, that my life, or everything that happened to me, was as a direct consequence of my own choices. For a very long time, I thought that I was how can you put it? I thought that I was like, everything happened to me, okay? So I was full of self-pity. The world had its, had it out for me. I was one of life's victims, if you like. And I really believed that my life was a direct result of things that happened to me and what happened to other people around me and how other people treated me, etc., etc. And I came across this thing called Serenity Prayer. Whether any of you have heard of it, but it basically says, it's a prayer, so it starts off with God. But I mean, I'm a big believer in the universal energy. So for me, I don't think of a God. I mean, lots of people do, and that's fine. We all have our own spiritual reality. But for me, it's like more of a universal energy, Mother Nature. Everything is made up of energy. So, but it says God. So we'll use the word God throughout this, just as, make it easier, really. You can substitute whatever you believe. But it's like, it says, God, grant me the serenity, which means I want peace. And to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that is the hard bit, because I had it completely, excuse my language, arse roads about. Completely. In that, I always thought and did and tried to change everybody else. Okay? So if I work harder, my boss will think more better of me. If I try harder, if I love my husband more, he's going to love me more. If I do more for my kids, they'll respect me more. And most of my actions were about trying to change the way that other people behave towards me. And so basically, I suppose you could call it manipulation and control, whatever you want to call it. So I spent an awful lot of my life how can I say it, people-pleasing people. Not really living the life that I wanted and not putting my goals and my dreams first. Because all I was trying to do was to get recognition of other people. So I was trying so hard to get people to love me, like me, respect me, etc., etc. Going around people-pleasing every day, left, right and centre. And I completely lost sight of what was right for me in that process. And you could say, well, what's this got to do with the mindset of weight loss? Well, actually, an awful lot. Because I think that most of you here will perhaps just to some extent completely understand what I'm saying. And if you do, give me a heart, that would be really great, so that I know that I'm not alone in this. But I really believed that if I could just get everybody else to love me more, like me more, respect me more, that I'd feel good inside about myself. But in the process, what I was doing is I was never putting what I wanted first. I was always reacting to other people's needs and wants. And that made me really resentful. So I'd do it, but I never did it with a loving heart. I did it because I wanted something back. So I wanted them to like me or to love me or to respect me or to give me a promotion or whatever it might be. And therefore when I didn't get that, because all that taught other people was that I was a walkover and that they could do whatever they wanted to me and they'd get everything they wanted because I never said no. When that happened, and I didn't get the recognition that I wanted, I just get more and more cross, upset, angry. And consequently, I would eat more because I was too frightened of losing the people in my life, these people, to say how I felt and to stick up for myself and to express my wishes and my wants. So because of that, I just used to push all those words down with food. I just eat more and more because food was my constant companion. Food always loved me. Food never let me down. In that moment that I was eating it, the problem was the consequences of eating that and using food to make me happy or to push my words down or to enable me to continue people pleasing and not living the real amazing life that I really wanted for myself, was meaning that I was eating too much of it and the wrong things, and I was putting weight on. So I was getting more and more consequences. I'd started to get other things wrong with me. I think I'd got sleep apnea, although I'd never been diagnosed. I'd certainly got urinary stress incontinence. My knees were shocking. So it wasn't working for me anymore. So then I was getting more and more cross because, you know, even my crutch wasn't working, if you like, and then I was eating even more. So it was just a continual battle. So when I realised this, that actually the only thing that I have the power to change is me. I don't have the power to change anything or anybody else, but I can change myself and my life. And with that analogy, accept or change, that in every situation, and I put a post on the groups this week about that, in every single situation, I have the choice whether to accept that situation exactly as it is or to change it. And the wisdom is to know that usually if I'm trying to change somebody or something else, it's not going to happen. That the only thing I can change is whether I accept it or not, or whether I stay in that situation, or whether I leave, or whether if I am unhappy about my weight, I can go on and on and on and complain about diets, but the only person that is going to change it is me. And if I'm not prepared to change it, I have to accept that I'm going to be where I am, because I have to take responsibility and accountability for my life. And that's not just in the weight loss, that's everything. You know, the amount of times when I do coaching with people, I hear that people are in a really unhappy marriage. And my first thing is, but why are you staying? You do not have to stay. And it will usually be things like, oh, well, what about my children? What about this? But you know what? We only have one life. We shouldn't be living our life for anybody else but ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean that we walk over everybody in the pursuit of getting our own happiness. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is nobody should have to sacrifice their own happiness for anybody else. Particularly if, by your own happiness, you are not purposely hurting anybody else. And if you're getting out of a bad situation that's not working for you and that's making you ill and making you eat and making you unhappy, then you have every right to do that because it's your life, it's nobody else's. And yes, it would be uncomfortable for a while. And that's a lot of the problem, I think, is that we don't like pain. So we know that whatever it is we're going to change for a while will be difficult. But I call it the tunnel of pain. Once you've got out of that tunnel of pain at the other side, you've grown and you've achieved something, and it's amazing. Because deep down inside, we all know what's right for us. We all know what we want. The problem is when we live our life for others, people pleasing all the time, we forget. And we can't connect with that inner person inside that says, you know, that what we want and what's good for us and what's right for us. Because I hear it all the time, particularly mums that I'm coaching, you know, they'll say things like, but the children, but I've got to do this. I don't have time to prioritise myself. Well, that's bullshit. Excuse my language, but it is. We all have 24 hours in a day. That's a lot of hours. And we choose to use that time wherever we choose it. And if we choose to use that whole 24 hours in the pursuit of making other people happy at the expense of our happiness, that is our choice. That is not a must do or a have to. That is our choice. And if we really want to hit our goals, to change our life, to get our dreams, then we have to prioritise that. And if we're no good, nobody else no good. If mine ain't good, nobody else no good. And it's absolutely true, because eventually when you keep pushing down your wants, your desires, your dreams, your own happiness, eventually your mind will throw it back at you and you will end up being very, very unhappy, probably depression, and I've just got a phone call. So that was the first thing that I wanted to tell you. And when I realised that I had responsibility for my own life, it was a massive shift for me. I couldn't be a victim anymore. I had to take responsibility, but it was also so exciting. And that's what we say with weight loss. You know, we have to change our mindset, because mindset and motivation are very different, okay? Motivation pushes you. It pushes you to do something. And it only lasts so long because it's push, push, push. It's hard. It's pushing against the grain. It's hard. Whereas mindset, changing mindset pulls you from a place where you want to be, a place where you're unstoppable, and it says, come on, I'm going to help you. Come on, you're okay. We'll keep you going. And a big thing that I learned, just got some notes here, so I want to make sure that I'm going to, give you everything, is why mindset is so important is because it's taking responsibility of your own life, and the rest is about having an unstoppable mindset to achieve your goals. So it's why I harp on all the time, and why I do so many activities with my coaching clients about making sure they set realistic and exciting goals that are not weight related. They may need some weight loss to achieve those goals, or they usually do. But when they're just weight related, that's just a number, and it tells you nothing about your life, and it ain't going to bloody excite you. Let's face it. Oh, when I stand on the box on the floor, I'm going to see a number. Whoopie-doo, that's so exciting. But if it's when I can get back on my horse and ride 3 times a week that I haven't been able to do for 12 months, that's amazing. That's really exciting. It's like, oh my God, I've done it. I've achieved it. I've got somewhere. It's changed my life in some way. So these goals that you set need to be absolutely vivid. And I talk very much in my coaching about visualizations, about making sure that you are visualizing exactly where you want to be in your life. That's not just with your weight loss, but what you want the weight release or the weight loss to enable you to achieve in your life, rather than concentrating on the weight itself. So what is it that you've always wanted to do? What clothes do you want to wear? What hairstyle? Where would you like to go? What job have you always wanted but you didn't feel strong enough or confident enough to try? You know, and believing that it's completely possible. The second thing that I learned, and I genuinely believe this now, and it's a bit woo-woo and out there, but this is me, this is my reality. I can only tell you what I know, and I can only tell you what have got me where I am today, and I'm 7 years from my surgery. I've lost most of it, kept it off, and now bariatric coach. And one of the biggest things I learned was, so I went to my hairdresser, and I was talking to him, and he said to me, so how's business? And I said, oh, yeah, it's not really. So actually, this week it's pretty good. You know, I'm having a really good week, but I'm sure next week it'll get back. It's not been so good recently. And he went, shh, don't you ever say that. Don't you know that the universe is listening? And I looked at him and went, is he crazy? What on earth is he talking about? And he said to me, you've got to read a book. You've got to read this book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And I went out and I got this book, and it completely blew my mind. It's very much about abundance, which basically talks about that there is no end. There's no stop in the world. There's no limit on anything. So there's no limit on money. There's no limit on food. There's no limit on anything in the world. And that if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand, basically. But there is ways that you've got to do it. And that basically, the more you really believe in what you want, and you believe it really can happen, you are much more likely to achieve it. And it set up a whole new world for me. So it's like where your concentration goes, energy flows. if you are going to concentrate on, I want to lose some weight, but I don't really believe I will because I never have before and I've always put it back on. So if you go into your weight loss journey with, I am pretty sure I'm going to put it back on, but I'll give it a go anyhow. What do you think will happen? The chances are you'll put it back on, because that is what you're presenting. So you're presenting to the universe, that's what I want to put it back on. Because you're believing it, you're thinking it. So your thoughts are energy, and whatever energy you put out there into the universe is all about energy. It tries all the time to get back what you say you're wanting. Now, it doesn't understand the word not as such, so you're talking about putting weight on. So it's like, be really careful with what you say. Don't ever talk about putting weight on. Don't talk about weight loss, because that makes it sound as if you want it back. That's why I always use the word weight release, because I'm releasing it. I don't want it back. I am releasing it. So there is sort of the way I've broken it down into 7 steps for manifestation, to manifest the life of your dreams. First one, well, 8 actually. The first one is accept and change. You only have 2 choices in everything you do. You either accept it or you change it. There is no other option. Whinging about it and accepting it is not an option. Acceptance means accept it. You don't mean to say you have to like it to accept it, but you can accept it for now, that that's the way it is. And if you can't accept it, then you have to change it, because there is no other option. And then this manifestation of visualization stuff, really getting clear, so that you break it down into 7 steps. The first one, step number 1, I'll go through the steps and I'll explain them all a little bit more. Number 1 is get absolutely specific and clear on what you want. Okay. Number 2 is become obsessed about it. Number 3 is visualize it when you are where you want or what you want. Number 4 is act as if you've already got it, not wait until you've got it. Number 5 is make sure you master your thoughts and feelings. And number 6, let go of the how and just allow. Number 7 is take inspired action. And I'm going to go through those now in a bit more detail for each of those 7 steps. But the first thing is, you can use this for anything. It's not just about weight release. You can use it for work. You can use it. I was actually talking to one of my coaching clients yesterday who actually used this to manifest her own husband. And she had read the book and she decided that she was going to do what the book says, and she wanted to find a new man. Actually, she specifically said a husband. It has become a husband. And within 10 days, she had her first date with her new man. And she had actually become so obsessed, acted on it and visualised it that much that she'd even booked a meal in a restaurant for 10 days later and not even met the man, but she booked it because she was absolutely sure it was going to happen, that she was going to have this date, that she was going to have a date with this person, or whoever he was. She didn't know who he was. She met him and they ended up going on this date for this meal to this place. I know it sounds crazy, but really did happen. So let's try. So the first one, number 1, exactly what your goal is. So you've got to be absolutely specific about what it is. And don't give mixed messages. So there is no point in saying, I'd like to lose a couple of stone, but 1 will be all right. Or, giving any mixed messages. It's got to be specific. And it's about making sure that it's something that you can see and visualize. So you are seeing yourself in a certain dress. So I had a Vivienne Westwood dress that I really, really wanted to get into. And it's like seeing me in that dress. Everything was about getting into that dress. Okay? So you don't give mixed messages. You actually say, that's what I want. That's where I'm going to be. And I actually achieved that for not last year, but the year previous to that meetup, New Leaf meetup. I was wearing a black Vivienne Westwood dress that I'd always wanted to get into. So you don't give mixed messages. I'll give you a really, really funny story about this. So what I did was, when I first read this book, I was reading it and I thought, it says to choose one small thing that you want to see and make it happen. So I thought, well, what do I want to see? Something that is not every day, but is possible. So I said I wanted to see a squirrel in my garden. Now, 5 doors down from me had loads of squirrels in their garden. I was really jealous because they wouldn't come in my garden because of the dogs. Now, I didn't say I wanted to see the squirrel in my garden. I just said I'd like to see a grey squirrel. My granddaughter arrived 2 days later, and the following morning she ran up the stairs, she's the one that's downstairs now, with this teddy in her hand. And she said, Grandma, look at this. Look what Mummy got me on the ferry. And I looked at it and it was a grey squirrel. Kid you not. Now, I hadn't been super specific because I'd said a grey squirrel. I didn't say I wanted it alive or that it couldn't be a stuffed grey squirrel, but the universe gave me a grey squirrel, like it or not. So I wasn't super specific. Okay. Number 2, become obsessed. Your goal should consume you. So that Vivienne Westwood dress was my goal, because I knew that if I got into that, that would give me lots of my other goals. My other goals were to tone up, my goals were to lose the weight, and I'd needed to do all those. So it's about getting yourself a goal that's going to consume you to get in there, which will give you the other things. So if it's like, I would like more money, it could be that your goal is to have your own business, and or you want to get a promotion, so that could be your goal, which will give you more money. But for me, this was this dress, so let's use it as a weight loss thing. So I became obsessed with it, absolutely obsessed with it. I even so much as changed my passwords to Westwood on my computer. I had a picture of this dress above my desk so everybody could see it, so I could see it all the time. I was completely obsessed, and I did achieve it. And the thing is we don't have to live it to get it. And what I mean by that is, if we can see it in our mind's eye, it's possible. And there was an experiment done, okay? So there was 3 groups of athletes. One of these groups of athletes did all the training on the track and ran the marathon or whatever they were doing. The second group didn't do any training, but they visualised the training. So they did loads of visualisation exercises. And the third group didn't do anything at all. And the second group won over the other 2, which I found amazing, because it was a visualisation. It was that absolutely seeing themselves crossing that line. It was so in their mind, absolutely about what they were going to achieve. There was no doubt in their mind they were going to win. It wasn't about, oh, if I do this training, that will make me strong enough to win. It was, I'm just going to win. Absolutely. And all they did was doing visualizations of crossing that line first, all the time, to the stage where their mind had no option but to make that happen. Because everything starts here. It's not in our legs, it's in our head. I don't know. I had a boyfriend years ago who hated me because he used to play darts. I was in the darts team, and I was actually the captain of the darts team. And he absolutely hated me going to play darts on a Wednesday night because there was an ex-boyfriend there, and he didn't like me for the fact that I might see him. And he used to give me so much grief that I got to the stage that when I went to play darts, I used to be really good at it. I wasn't even hitting the board. I was the laughing stock. They used to put me on for the dummy at the end if they had to, because he'd got into my head that much that every time even now thinking about darts, my arm starts to seize up. I still cannot throw a dart straight. We're talking 28 years ago. So it got in my head. So you know that. If something gets in your head, you can't shift it. And it can create your reality. And that's what we're talking about. Get it in your head. Get obsessed with it. Absolutely obsessed with it. Visualising it. Act as if. Get excited. That's step 4. Okay? So step 3 was your visualization, your athlete. Step 4, act as if. I am already in that Vivienne Westwood dress. Choosing not to wear it, but I'm already. So I'm acting like I'm walking tall, I'm walking straight. I don't say things to myself like, oh my God, look at you. I am already there. Acting as if you've already got it is the biggest and surest way that you will end up with it. People that never ever doubt themselves, very, very rarely fail. Very rarely. They just keep getting up and carrying on, getting up and carrying on. Number 5, what we think and feel the most is what shows up in our life. If you're not in alignment with your goal, you will get the opposite of what you want. So be really careful about your self-talk. So when your brain throws up a fear, which it will, oh, yeah, but I might not do it. You just thank it. Say, thank you, it's okay, I've got this. Of course we will. Thank you for trying to help. I know you're trying to help, but thank you. So be careful about how you talk to yourself. You know, that inner self-talk, like, oh my God, look at the state of my hair, look at the state of my legs. You're always going to be fat. You're never going to be. You know, all that self-talk is just going to give you the opposite to what you want, because it's not in alignment with those visualizations. So you're giving mixed messages to the universe, basically. So the energy is not going to be aligned properly. Number 7, take inspired action. So that's the last one. So what do I mean by that? Well, there is no point in saying I want to get into that Vivienne Westwood dress, sitting on the sofa every night eating donuts. You know? So if I'm going to act as if somebody who wears a Vivienne Westwood dress, somebody who wears a size 10 or 12, I think it was Vivienne Westwood dress, I've got to act like somebody who's a size 12. And somebody who's a size 12 and stays a size 12 doesn't eat a whole packet of biscuits every day, or 2 packets of biscuits, or whatever it might be, you know, and they're quite happy to go for long walks and exercise and things, and that's how they stay, you know. So if one of your targets or your goals is around your weight, releasing your weight, find somebody who's naturally slim and watch them. Watch what they do. Watch how they behave. Watch how they say no thank you. Watch how they leave some on their plate. Watch how they'll go, oh gosh, no, I best not have that because I've already had 1 biscuit today. Those things never crossed my mind before. If it was there, I had to eat it. You know, it's like emulating who you want to be is what's going to get you to be that person. And the inspired action is looking for the signs, making sure that the inspiration, that when the inspiration's there, you take action. So if you're looking to, you know, get to a certain goal and somebody says to you, oh, by the way, we've just opened there's a new running group down the road, you know, would you like to join? That might be the universe saying, if you want to get there, this is what you need to be doing. Yeah? If you're going on these groups and people are giving, like I do, a Tips and Tricks Tuesday, join it. Do the things that are going to get you to your goal. Every single thing you do, you need to be saying to yourself, is this going to get me nearer or further away from where I want to be? And going right back to the beginning again, it's about making sure that you prioritise yourself first. Because until you do that, you're never going to be serene, happy and content. Everything is fixing it from the outside. So you've got to go in and you've got to say, right, this is how I want to live my life. This is what I want from life. And it's okay to be properly selfish, to want that, because unless I am, eventually I'm going to burn out and I'm not going to be good for anybody else there. So I know I've been on half an hour because my little alarm clock's going on, the cuckoo clock, so I'm going to get going in a minute. But talking about taking the inspired action and talking about the universe and God and all that type of thing, this spiritual stuff. There's a little fable. So let's call this man Andre. So he's somewhere in the Philippines somewhere, and there was this flood. And the rain was pouring down in this village where he lived, and all the people were evacuating their houses because they were really scared that they were going to get drowned or they were going to, lose their house and everything. And Andre was like, no, it's fine, I've got it. I've got God. God's looking after me. Not a problem. He will save me. I believe, I'm a believer, and I know he will save me. So he chose to stay in his house because he said that God was going to save him. So the house began to flood. And a boat came along. And this bloke in this boat says, Andre, get in this boat. Come on, get in this boat. Come in this boat with me. I can take you back to shore. You'll be all right. And he went, no, it's fine. It's all right. God's going to save me. It's fine. I'm sorted. Don't you worry. Off you go. A little bit longer goes and the house is flooding even more. So he gets up and he gets on the roof. of his house, because his house is flooding, and then this bloke comes along in a helicopter and he says, Andre, get in, I'll send a rope down for you, get in, get up here, because you know, look, you're on your roof, your house is flooding, you're going to drown. No, says Andre, it's fine, God's going to save me, I've got this, God's going to save me, he's going to be there. Anyhow, a little bit later goes on, and this aeroplane goes past, and he's like, okay, shouting at this aeroplane, we can still get you, and he's right on the edge of the roof, and he's going, no, God's going to save you, I've told you, leave me alone, God's going to save you. Anyhow, Andre drowned, and he gets to the pearly gates, and he says to God, I'm so angry, he's shaking his fist, I'm so angry, why? You said you'd save me, you let me down, you said you'd save me. And God just said to him, Andre, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter, and I sent you an aeroplane. What more do you want? I did everything I could to save you. And I think that's a really lovely fable, a little story. So, look for the signs and take action. Ask yourself, what is this that I'm doing now getting me nearer or further to whatever my goals are? Act as if, find somebody to emulate. Be careful about what you say. Your words are your command. Accept or change and be who you are. It's okay to have desires, have goals, put yourself first. Because the one thing I do know is no bugger else will do. So you look after you, and then you can look after everybody else. So, okay, that's me for tonight, guys. It's been lovely speaking to you. I haven't got no idea whether anybody can see me or hear me, because I've got no comments. I don't know what's happening. I'm assuming and hoping that they can. Anyhow, lots of love, and I'll speak to you next Wednesday. All being well. Lots of love. Bye.